Here's a quick overview of what we'll be discussing in our presentation. We'll be going over the company and consumer review, next into the marketing campaign proposal, and then into the implementation.
Alright, so I'm going to start with a quick review of Contrast Company Overview. So Contrast was founded in 2015 and has since opened 4 locations across the UP, including the Marquette location in 2017. Their mission is the pursuit of coffee as community and to be strikingly different in doing so. And they focus on 3 initiatives, which are empowering farmers, connecting friends, and growing community.
Next, I'll be discussing the current digital marketing strategy. They have a strong social media presence on Instagram and Facebook. They have a cohesive aesthetic throughout all platforms, which is from their many social media managers. They also consistently post on all their platforms, which they post roughly around 2 to 3 times a week. Additionally, they also have a well-designed website which contains their online store and also outlines their company values. Lastly, they have an app where you can order online to skip the line, and the app is also where customers can view and redeem their rewards.
Going into the target market, like we talked about in the last presentation, we can really split their target into 2 groups. The first being business people, who are the community of Marquette headed to work. Some of them are remote workers, which means those people often come into Contrast to work for a little while. These people have disposable income, and because of this, they're segmented by income. Then we move into NMU students. Because of our age, we are usually early adopters of apps, but it does fluctuate throughout the year because we have an influx in the fall and then drops off in the spring again when we go home for summer. The atmosphere of Contrast is a big selling point, and because they're all students, these people are segmented by education.
And now I will move a little bit into the SWOT analysis. So in comparison to the previous presentation that we did, we kind of broke down the SWOT analysis into the main points that we are going to highlight with our digital marketing strategy and plan that we are proposing to implement. So for the strengths, we really wanted to highlight the strong consumer relationship with the target demographics. So as Brendan just mentioned, between the business people and the NMU students, we have strong relationships, and we want to use this plan to build off of those relationships. For the weaknesses, we kind of focused on the customers that are unaware of our subscription services. So later on, we'll talk about how our main goal is to increase app awareness. There are many people who don't know about this app at all, and that is one of our strongest weaknesses. But our opportunities kind of capitalize off of that weakness in increasing our permanent menu items over seasonal items. So we'll also mention a little bit later on a secret menu that we will be implementing, which is something that we're going to try to capitalize off of promoting. And a threat that we have is a lack of partnerships with local musicians and artists, but we saw this threat as an opportunity to build upon. Even though other coffee shops have relationships with these musicians and these artists, we're going to build our own relationships through events that we're going to host at our location as well.
Okay, now going over the marketing objectives that we have, as Faith talked a little bit, the app awareness that we have, people, they don't really know about the app. They don't really know how it works. You can go to the coffee shop and see a small paper with the QR code, but you don't know if it's for the app, if it's for just to log in for the Wi-Fi. So what we want to do is increase in sales, but also increase the app awareness. And this all go together because the more people you know to start interact with the app, they start to buy more from the app and start to get familiarized with the app, the more easier it is for you and for the coffee shop to understand what is the seasonal product that is going on, where are you buying more, what's the product that's not really selling more. And with that, we want to also increase the return visitors. With holding people with the app, we can analyze all the data that we have from new customers and for existing customers. We can see what are our strengths in coffees and what are our weaknesses in terms of products for the year.
Alright, Alright, so going into the marketing campaign proposal, I'll start with our recommendations for the digital marketing strategy. So the main thing, like you said, that Contrast should focus on, considering that they already have a well-developed website and a strong presence on social media, is generating awareness of their app and incentivizing online orders. Their manager told us that the market location receives a maximum of 20 online orders a day, which we believe could be greatly improved upon. And they currently advertise the app through QR codes located on the tables, which kind of fails to create awareness of those who would be most likely to use the app, which are going to be to-go customers. So in order to improve their current strategy and generate awareness, we've come up with 3 recommendations to use, which are using push notifications, implementing a secret menu, and then rewards benefits that are only available through the app. So now I'll go into a little bit more detail about each of the recommendations. So not using push notifications is a missed opportunity for Contrast to maintain consistent use from the customers who have already downloaded the app. So at the bare minimum, it's going to be a way to remind people that the app exists on their device. But it's also going to be a great way for Contrast to directly communicate with their customers. So like we have up here, giving reminders when they have rewards to redeem. And they're also going to be able to notify users about drink specials, events, and other offers that may generate more traffic. Alright, and in order to create some interest in the app in the first place and incentivize people to download it, one thing we came up with is a secret menu that is only available through the app. So this would motivate downloads and increase the frequency of online orders. So it would include a rotating menu of about 5 exclusive items created by the baristas, and maybe use some interesting ingredients or combinations of flavors. And we were also thinking that they could use some of the signature drinks that are available at other locations, like the Sugar Shack, which is a salted maple latte that is only available at the Iron Mountain location. And then as far as rewards benefits goes, we were thinking that they could offer double rewards points through the app only to incentivize further for people to make online orders and download the app. And then we were also thinking that they could start a gold member rewards program, maybe under the name of the Contrast Coffee Club, which would be available to people who make 2 purchases weekly for 3 consecutive months. And that would incentivize continuous purchases through the app. And a membership would include buy one, get one half off coffee or a half price coffee when purchased along with food. Members would receive double rewards in store as well as on the app, and they would be notified of exclusive offers and early access to super menu items and events. And then if the membership was held consecutively for a year, they would receive a free merch item or a Contrast Coffee gift card.
Next, going into the advertising plan. As of right now, the only way in which Contrast is advertising for their app is through their table tents that are scattered throughout the dining room. Like Nikki mentioned earlier, these table tents are failing to create awareness, as they aren't specifically targeting their to-go audience, but the people that are sitting within the dining room. To combat this, one of our recommendations is to implement Java jackets, which will be placed on each of the to-go cup orders. On the Java jacket, it will state the different benefits of using the app, which are earning double rewards, the secret menu, and also the future events. With this addition, we hope to reach the target audience for the app, which are specifically the to-go customers. Additionally, we are going to be adding the QR code for the app at the cash register, so the customer will not miss out on what the app has to offer, as it will be hard to miss. Also, one of Contrast's main target audiences is NMU students. To further reach NMU students, we're suggesting to set up tables at different on-campus events, such as Fall Fest and Winter Fest, which Brennan will discuss further on in the presentation. And lastly, as Contrast has a strong social media presence, there isn't a lot of advertisement on these platforms regarding downloading the app. So to further the app awareness, there should be more posts dedicated to encouraging the followers to download their app and even adding a link within their social media bios, leading them to download the app. Next, Brenna will be going into the public relations campaign.
So first, we're going to talk about the late night events. These are going to be held once a month, starting at 6 p.m. We're going to have live music with local artists and bands. And because Contrast is a limited space, they will be smaller artists and bands, not a huge 8-piece band. But rewards members are going to get priority because if they hold that status, that's one of the notifications that they're going to get early on. That will just give them more availability to come. We will be serving food and drinks, and there will be no alcohol, which is because of the extensive process to get a liquor license and because we're unsure right now of how these late night events are going to go. So if they are successful, then in the future that is something that we'll look into. But for right now, we're gonna start it off at 6 p.m., which is still a fairly early time, which makes serving no alcohol make sense. Next, we're gonna go into the way we're gonna advertise for each target market. So first, we're gonna go into Contrast on campus. Like Sarah said, it all starts with Fall Fest. At the beginning of the year, so many new students are on campus and so many local businesses are out advertising at Fall Fest. They can do two main things here. They can gain interest for their company and gain business, as well as have it be a hiring opportunity for if they need new baristas. All these freshmen or transfers from lots of different locations may have a great experience and could be a great fit for Contrast. Then following up with Winterfest in the winter semester will really just help get the name out there. Obviously utilizing posters for the events and different things going on at Contrast on campus will be beneficial, and they will continue participating in the coffee crawl, which is put on every year with PRSSA. Then we're going to go into Contrast in the community. Really to target the community members, utilizing posters throughout town. We talked about the push notifications through the app, really utilizing the in-store promo because these are going to be more frequent customers, using the table tents, Java jackets, and posters, as well as social media promotion are going to be the best ways to get this group into the store. Then lastly, for each recommendation, just chunking it up into what we're going to use for each of them. For the events, we're really going to utilize posters and social media, as well as the push notification or like early notification for the rewards program members. For the secret menu, it's going to be promoted in store and on the app. For the rewards program, it's going to be promoted through push notifications, table tents, as well as the Java jackets.
Finally, we are going to move into the implementation plan and kind of how all the previous things that we mentioned are going to culminate and actually come to an experience. And Fran will kick that off.
Okay, so going through the budget, we kind of break it down in 3 parts. So we set up a goal in short term, medium term, and long term. So for the short term, which is 4 months, because you need to, first of all, whenever you do a strategy, you need to think in a long period of time. So this is pretty much what we went through and the different items that we might need to take into account. So for wages, since we're gonna start doing the late night events, the first 4 months we're gonna start implementing those, but not in a huge scale. So we wanna see how the customers react to this. So the price for that will be still similar. We went through these numbers with the company, so this is pretty much what they spend on a monthly variable basis on wages. For coffee beans, they're kind of the same, since we haven't done anything, the strategy is the same. For the Java jackets, the cold holders, since we haven't started with that strategy yet, the prices are gonna be super low, still looking at different prices, and still looking at what we can approach. For the app, the prices are gonna be a little bit high because we're gonna start having a lot of this data, we're gonna start implementing this, but we're gonna have to need to hire a contract kind of program in order to analyze all this data and all these new customers that we're getting. For the 7-month period, the wages are gonna have to increase a little bit since employees are gonna have to be paying a little bit of a higher wage since they're staying a little bit after hours, and this means that the wages are gonna have to be a little bit high. For the coffee beans, with the late night events, you're gonna have to think about expenses for the long period of the month, not only from your 6:30 a.m. to your 5 p.m. hours. For the Java Jackets, when we start implementing that in store and in late night events, we're gonna start seeing an increase in that because prices are gonna start going up the numbers, not only for app buying, but in store as well. And then for the app, you're gonna start using a lot of the budget money in the app because we're gonna start having a lot of this data, and in order to know where we're going forward or back with the plan, we're gonna need a program in order to analyze all this and keep in mind that with all the strategies, we're trying to target the right audience so we're not spending money in places that we don't want. And then coming to the late of the 12 months period, the wages are gonna start going a little bit up since we're gonna start using a lot of different strategies for the late night events that might need more employees as well. So this would mean a little bit of a higher increase for the wages. Now for the coffee beans, the same, and the same with the cup holders. The more you start selling out, keeping in mind that this is progress or on the late night events and also with the rewards program and with the push notifications, trying to get more visitors to coming onto the store, it will mean to buy and to sell more of these cup holders. And for the app, the prices are gonna be a little bit down since we already know what kind of customers we're trying to target. It means that all the data that we have, it will be a little bit smaller, and then this will help us to know what kind of target audience we wanna target.
And then finally, I'll move into the planned timeline. So how and when are we going to implement each of these things that we've mentioned over the period of our presentation? So in the first quarter of the year, we have decided on implementing this over a year starting on January 1st of 2023 and then ending on December 31st of that same year to kind of make sure that we are dedicating the appropriate amount of time and commitment to each category. So for the first quarter, we are going to really highlight and drill our app secret menu. So this is going to involve getting the word out there with the Java Jackets that we have an app, increasing that awareness, having people download it, and having them utilize that secret menu. The second quarter, and here's where we're going to implement the push notifications a little bit more. We'll have people have downloaded the app so that we can have those push notifications kind of come out. We have users who are aware of the app and what it all involves. Then we're going to move and kind of highlight a little bit more that rewards program once we have the basis of our app built out. We do not need to have customers on the app before we implement that rewards program and that coffee club that we mentioned. And then finally, moving into the fourth quarter and the last 3 months of the year, we're going to really push the events because, as Brenna mentioned, we're having a high target demographic of NMU students. That is when most of the students are going to be around, and like outside right now, it's cold, so what's better than a cup of warm coffee at that time of year? So that kind of culminates our entire proposal of our plan. We appreciate you listening to it, and we would be more than happy to take any questions that you have.